If you watch my videos, you'll probably know my second favorite opening of all time is the Colle Zukertort. So what do you do if your opponent plays the Colle Zukertort against you? In today's chess video, someone dares play my own opening against me, and I demolish him and get to 1700 on my chess.com account. Our opponent plays d4, and today I'm going to play knight to f6, pawn to e3, pawn to d6. As you guys all know, this is my famous Philidor. Now, our opponent is actually playing my second favorite opening in the world. My opponent here is actually playing the Colle Zukertort. And one of the biggest counter to the Colle Zukertort is actually the Philidor. A lot of people don't know how to counter this move, this idea in which we play pawn to e4, and my opponent just captures and pushes here, which does defend against this threat of e4, but this is actually really bad because this is just a normal Philidor now, except I'm up a lot of tempos. I get to play bishop c5 early. I get to play moves like c6 early. In this position, I think I'm just going to play bishop c5. Generally, you do want to pin the knight, but because it's not even there yet, I don't even need to. I'm going to castle here. I'm going to see if my opponent decides to pin me. No, they decide to go this way here. They're trying to attack my pawn on e5, so I'm just going to protect it. In this position, this is just a good position for me because my pieces are very well placed in this position. Again, I'm just up a lot of tempos. My opponent's not doing a lot, so in this position, I'm just going to defend my pieces like this, and I'm going to hippity-hoppity my knight over here to g6 so it can go to f4. I'm not worried about him capturing here. Him capturing here would be very bad for him. The reason why capturing here would be bad is because two minor pieces for rook is never good. So my opponent hippity-hopped his knight over here, but I'm just going to kick it away on the very next move. So this knight here is actually not very good. He attacks my bishop, and in this position, I'm just going to move back. I'm not really going to do anything spicy here or interesting here. I'm just going to defend. I'm going to kick his knight away next move, and then I'm going to hop my knight to f4, which is very strong. My opponent cannot do the same thing because my bishop is here to chop it off and then push e4 right after. And so in this position, I'm actually very happy. There might be even threats where I could just take here and then play f5, e4, but I'm not even going to calculate that stuff. Now, this move just looks bad. Oh, I see what he's trying to do. He's trying to stop me from playing knight to f4, which I guess it's something he can do. But I'm going to play b5. I'm going to kick away his knight first. And we'll see what the knight goes. He goes over here, which makes a lot of sense. Do I want to play a5 here? a5 or a6 in this position? It's a good question. I think a5 makes the most sense. The idea here is I'm going to take the pawn, or if he blocks like this, then he's just blocking in his own bishop, which cannot be good for our opponent. So I'm just going to play my bishop to e6 now. I'm going to put my rook over here. I'm going to pin the opponent's bishop here. Or they could do this. I'm going to pin the opponent's bishop now. Or just move my rook to such a nice square here. And if he copies me, I could play bishop h3, but I'm not sure if this actually helps me. I think in this position, I might play something like this. In this position, this is a good position for me. I'm never going to take him, so his bishop is always bad. Do I want to trade here? Do I want to play knight g4, trade off the pieces, make him have weak light squares? To be honest, doesn't seem too bad of an idea. Let's play this move, and my idea is if he captures, his light squares are very weak here. So I'm going to slide my queen over to take advantage of this weakness here. So he plays this move. I think he's trying to play pawn h3, but I'm not going to let him. I'm just going to play queen c8. Idea here is I'm going to kick the piece away, tell the piece to go away, and that nobody likes him. So the opponent plays queen e3, which allows me to play bishop h3 check, skewing the bishop, the king to the rook, allowing me to just take the rook for free here. Alright, so I'm up material here, which is pretty common. I mean, this is your typical Philidor. Now the question is, how do we proceed? I don't want to take him still. Again, I'd rather him take my pawn here in this position rather than he take me. So in this position, how I like to think in these positions is how do I improve my worst piece? This piece is probably very bad right now. So I think I'm just going to play f6 first of all. I think this move makes a lot of sense. My idea is I'm going to hop my knight backwards. Maybe I move the bishop out first. He plays here. Not sure what this does. Do I just take the bishop? I think so. It looks like our opponent just gave us a free bishop, so we're going to capture the free bishop, we're attacking the knight, and we win this game. In this game, I'm gonna start with pawn d3, and I'm gonna play Philidor but as white. Many people have asked me before if you could play the Philidor as white, and the answer is yeah. Technically, you can play Philidor as white. I've played many professional games with the Philidor as white, and as you guys can see, if it works as, well, black, then it definitely works as white. You're just up a tempo here, which is just good for you. And so, in this position, my opponent's trying to pin me, but he doesn't realize that my pin is just 1,000 times stronger because mine actually has a threat. There was a grandmaster who once said, don't pin your opponent unless you're threatening to capture. In this position, I'm threatening to capture, and I'm just going to capture him. Because the idea here is your pawn structure is so bad. And I could play h3. I guess I'll play h3. You don't have to play h3 in these positions. But after he moves the bishop, I'm basically telling his bishop to commit to a diagonal. Are you going to stay here and pin me? Or are you going to move all the way back where you're not going to be very useful? And so he decides to capture me. Always take with the queen, because if you don't, then you lose this pawn here, which is not good. And in this position, I'm just going to slide my queen over to c3. I'm going to attack this guy. I'm going to attack this guy. I'm attacking a lot of weaknesses in this position for my opponent. He has to play a move like queen to d6. And after queen d6, do I have knight to c4? He gets this pawn here in the future, but is that really that important? I don't think so. Knight here, queen d6, yes, queen b4 perhaps, because I don't take on c6. I think I'm just going to castle here. There's no need for me to rush in this position. Because there's no need for me to rush, I'm not going to rush. Okay, now we can play knight c4 now that our king is out of trouble. And if he decides to play queen b4, I'm just going to capture, and then I'm going to, his bishop will capture, I'll take here, and if he captures here, I will capture on c6. So but the opponent plays this, which is interesting. Queen captures, doesn't work. Let's capture this way. Make sure there's no pins, forks, or skewers of any sort. Yeah, we're just going to capture here. And our threat is to capture on c6 now. As you guys can see, these are huge weaknesses from my opponent, and we're going to be able to take advantage of them pretty much instantly. And so in this position, we're already up a pawn going into the endgame. And as you guys know, being up material in the endgame is especially important. So my opponent can castle here, and he plays this move, which is interesting. At first glance, I thought I could play rook e1, but this is obviously a mistake here. I can't play that, because if I do, bishop takes f2 would be very devastating for me. So I think in this position, do I target something else? Do I play b4? No, b4 is very weakening. Bishop e3, it lets me develop my pieces. This bishop c5 move actually makes a lot of sense here for my opponent, and it's actually a good move. Now, I think I'm going to play my own tricky move here. I'm going to play knight to e5. This move is pretty tricky. It's trying to get him to castle. You know what? Let's do it. Knight to e5. Do you guys see the trick that I'm trying to do here? The trick is actually relatively simple. If my opponent decides to castle, which he obviously does, because why wouldn't he? There is a very nice move that you can find in this position. Pause your videos. Let me know in the comment section below if you guys can find it. And in this position, the answer is the very simple knight to d7, forking the rook and bishop together. And so in this position, I believe my opponent's probably going to just YOLO sack on f2. I think this is his best chance. It's not a good chance, but it is definitely a chance. And if he takes, knight takes, I take over there. Taking this way can't be correct. I'm pretty sure I can just capture it this way. It's always better to win an entire piece than to win just an exchange. And so in this position, I'm just going to take the free bishop. It's the free bishop. Your knight has to move now. And where's the knight going to go? And the funny thing is, by taking with this knight over here, I actually trapped his knight. So he has to sacrifice, and now he's just down a lot of material here. So in this position, he's trying to go to the back rank, but I don't really care. So I'm just going to let him do it if that's what he desires to do. And then I'm just going to play rook f2. Very simple. If he counters me over here, well, I'm just going to control the center. I'm just going to bring in my pieces, slowly but surely bring in my pieces, trade off the pieces, and win the game. As you guys can see, my worst piece was my rook on a1. Let's double up over there. And in this position, he's doubling up over here, which sure, if he really wants to. And what do I want to do in this position? To be honest, I could just play rook d2 and just say you're never getting onto the second rank here. I allow you to check me down here. I don't really care. Okay, you move your piece over there. That's fine. You know what? Let's play king f1. Let's kind of force him to play rook e1 check. Otherwise, I'm just going to play rook to e2 and trade off all the pieces. And what is he going to do? So he has to check me. I just move king g2. I allow him to move his rook wherever he wants. He just moves it back, which is funny. And I guess I just play here. King to f3 now. He helped me bring my king to a better square. He's such a nice guy. And now we can double up here. And basically, we can just trade off all the pieces here. Because my king was able to trade off everything, the remaining pieces that I have, the knight and bishop, will easily take all the pawns, and my opponent resigns in this position.